Hello everybody, I'm Zenith and welcome back to Diving Into DuckTales, a podcast where Kat Macberrie, Y2Staller, and I discuss the individual episodes, each individual episode of the new 2017 DuckTales show. With me, as always, is Kat Macberrie.
Hello, everybody. What's up?
And Y2Staller.
Hey, y'all.
So today we're talking about a brand new episode, as usual. This particular episode, House of the Lucky Gander, takes place immediately after the Beagle Birthday Massacre. So we don't really have to talk too much about things being aired out of order. This was aired in somewhat a correct order. Just, they skipped... They basically skipped over this episode to do the last episode. In any case, this takes place immediately after the Beagle Birthday Massacre, after that storyline episode, and this one is actually an adventure episode, which I thought was really nice. It was a nice change of pace. This is what we needed last week, because the Terror of the Terraformians, while it does have adventure elements, it really wasn't an adventure episode. This episode actually is about Scrooge McDuck taking the kids out on an adventure to do something really cool, and I think this is what we needed immediately after the story dump. Immediately after that reveal, we needed an adventure to take our minds off things and to develop the characters. And I think... Well, initially I had problems with it, but I think it holds up better on a second viewing, and we're going to get to it, but overall I think this is a very good episode. Kat, would you care to do the honors of giving us a brief summary of the House of the Lucky Gander?
Gladly. So yeah, this episode, as we mentioned, is kind of a filler episode, but of course that doesn't mean it's bad, but it's actually a fun filler episode in my opinion. So Scrooge and the rest of the Duck family get called over to, I guess, the Duck equivalent of Las Vegas or something like that, and they're there to help, was it Donald's cousin and Scrooge's nephew, Gladstone Gander, and he's kind of the guy that you tend to automatically hate because he's like the luckiest guy in the world, and he's kind of obnoxious about it. So they go to him to find out what he needed their help for, and he's like, "Oh, well, I need you to help me, so like spend my winnings." So it's like, really? Okay. Well, we're gonna go to the real adventure. We're gonna go find this mystical cricket that can, tell the future and answer the world's greatest questions. Unfortunately, they're not able to leave the casino they're at. No matter what they do, they keep getting distracted by performances, by food, by the slot machines and everything. And it turns out there's a reason why they are being trapped there. But of course, we'll get to that because this is a twist that I honestly didn't see coming. So yeah, it's definitely something to get into that I think is really cool. But for the most part, yeah, it's basically the introduction of the new form of Gladstone Gander, and which we will also get into because I have quite a bit to say about that.
Yeah, when I first saw this episode, what kind of threw me off was that, they started off telling us we're going on an adventure, we're going to go to this Temple of the Lucky Cricket and all this other stuff, and initially, for most of the episode, it doesn't feel like an adventure episode. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening, but until the ending, it doesn't feel like an adventure episode. But there is a twist, which we will get to, that actually reveals that it really was an adventure episode. So, I think the first time watching it through, I was a little taken aback by that, about the fact that, it kind of misled you, but there is a reason for it. So I think this is actually a pretty good episode. First thing I want to comment on, and I comment on this pretty much every episode he's in, but Launchpad steals the goddamn show. Launchpad.
In what way?
he has two minor brief moments in the episode. When they touch down in this new area, he's like, it's okay, well, I want to go off and help out my girlfriend. She's been in trouble with Chinese gangsters and all this stuff. And Scrooge is like, sure, just be back in an hour. And they have this close up to him where he's just like, I'm coming for you, Z. And then at the end of the episode, he returns. He has an eye patch on. He's covered with arrows. He has a panda in his like backpack, and I'm just like, what happened here? I'm like, I'm wondering what is the deal with Launchpad? Like, what happened? And all he says is like, all he says is, wherever you are, Z, I hope you're safe. And I'm just like, I want to know the story behind this. Like, this entire, like, brief portion of the episode, I'm just like, I want to know his story.
I hope they go back. Like, I hope they do it, like, one of two ways. Like, they do it, like what My Little Pony did, I think, back in, like, season 3 or 4, where, like, they had this one episode where it was from, like, the pony's perspective, and then they did another episode from Spike's perspective. They either do that or they just do it in the comics, because I know there's also, with the reboot of the new DuckTales, there's also a new DuckTales comics line as well. So maybe it's in there. Maybe it's in there. I don't know. If it is in there already, please let me know so I can read this. So, like, I really want to know what happened.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, I know for the first time, I am actually finding myself wanting to see a Launchpad episode, and I know that may sound surprising, but again, I've been watching, like, slowly making my way through the original DuckTales, and I've come to the conclusion that pretty much all episodes that feature Launchpad, like, are the worst episodes. I shit you not. Just pick any random episode and it will blow your mind just how incredibly annoying and stupid it is. But then we have this where he's barely in the episode, yet we find out, like, so much. Like, we get so many hints about what kind of shit that he's been, like, doing while they were away. And I'm like, wow, this looks amazing. I really want to see this. So yeah, I do hope that they kind of, like, put something in the comic. That'd be a nice teaser, actually. I'm actually surprised they didn't, like, promote it either at the end of the episode or something like that.
Yeah, I really hope that they do something with this, because either, like, give us a little bit more information or whatnot, because that was all I was thinking about throughout the entire episode, was that little bit. And when I say steal the show, it doesn't mean like he was the major focus or that he was the best thing about the episode, but he brings the focus on him with minor bits, and I think that's the strength of Launchpad in these episodes, where he does minor things that either get a big laugh or draw attention to him for the rest of the episode when he comes back. And he did this in the last one with the Terrafermians, and he does that here, and I think that's the strength of the character, personally.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, definitely, like, even like that when the episode's going kind of like, you just throw in Launchpad and he makes things so much better. It's like, normally in a kids show where, like, a character like him would just be, the annoying comic relief just off doing his own stupid thing, but in this he, like, just for some reason he just improves it. I can't really describe it. It's like, I should be annoyed by his antics, but I'm not. I find myself laughing and kind of wishing that the focus was more on him. It's really weird.
So yeah, Eric, what do you think about Launchpad in this episode and overall? Because I think we've had enough episodes where we can get a good feel of his character.
Launchpad is definitely a much more interesting character this time around. Like, he's a lot, like, he'll do dumb things, but he's a lot more good-natured towards it. He's not doing it for the sake of doing it, because I felt like when I was rewatching the original series, like, Launchpad was doing it because, oh, that's just what I do. But here, it's not like he's doing it on purpose. Like, he definitely has a good heart, and he actually legitimately, like, tries to help out the situation. So that's what I like. That's what I like about Launchpad, is that this version has a lot more heart. And I think we're gonna see that more and more as the series progresses. Like, I'm pretty sure we're probably gonna get hopefully we'll get an episode or two, maybe either this season or next season, where we'll have like a Launchpad focused episode where it'll be about Launchpad or something, or maybe it'll include with Darkwing Duck. I don't know, because I know that's a thing. But overall, I really like this. I like what they're doing with Launchpad, and also making him the sort of comic relief of the show. But they're doing their best not to overexpose him. So that's why it's only up until now. That's why in this episode, like, we don't have him so much included like we did with last week with the Terror of the Terra Firmians. But they're using it sparingly in the right way to not overdo it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's part of why I like him a little more, because there's less of him and he's not so obnoxiously in the foreground, just taking up attention. You see, he's just that like pleasant little like quirk you see going on in the background. So yeah, I think you had a good point with that.
I should also add there's another really funny sight gag in this episode, and I think people might not miss it. When their plane touches down, this is the first time that Launchpad has landed without crashing in the series. And he only does it here. Later on, when they go to the House of the Lucky Cricket, you see the plane has crashed.
So he's good at landing in water, but not on land.
Well, he is a duck after all.
That actually makes a ton of sense. So that's why he's always crashing.
It's either that, or I also have two other theories that could be possibly true. The House of the Lucky Gander was immediately in front of them when they landed, so it could be the luck itself. Or it could be that he landed purposefully because he knew the place he was in and he knew he would have to get away because of the plot with Z. I want to know more about this, but anyway, all of those could be possible theories. I don't know. I just thought that was a funny little gag. Anyway, let's get into the actual plots. There's an A plot and a B plot. Thankfully, there's no C plot this episode. It's really well balanced between the two. The A plot revolves around Donald's, is it his brother or his cousin?
His cousin.
So it's about Donald's cousin, who is the luckiest duck on earth. Like, literally, he walks down the street, he finds $20. And they show the backstory of, like, Donald living with him, like, living, in the same house. And he pretty much just, like, walks down the street, he finds $20, he finds $20 in a cereal box. And the one time that Donald tries to get the $20 from him, it's during a bank robbery, and the other uncle, basically, he gets credit for foiling the robbers, but Donald gets in trouble because they think he stole the $20.
I like that they set his bail at $20.
So a lot of it revolves around this character who is always lucky, and he's cocky about it. He's arrogant. He's a bit full of himself. And I think they got a good person to play the part, because while he can be annoying at times, I don't think he's overbearingly annoying. He's annoying to a point, but I never felt like it was a detriment to the episode. And I know Kat has stuff to say about this, but personally, while I didn't really care for his character, I think it's well acted to the point where I didn't mind him. He's a person that you like to hate.
Yeah, pretty much. I may as well get into the whole thing about Gladstone here. So, the first time I've seen Gladstone, of course, was in the original DuckTales, and in that one, he's a much different character. I mean, not by a lot, but he's at least a lot more sympathetic in the old one, because while he still has his, like, immensely, like, like I can't even understand how lucky this guy is at times. Like that is like how lucky he is. He wasn't quite smug or arrogant about it. He was all good natured, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just a lucky guy. What can I say?" And of course he would piss off Scrooge a lot because Scrooge believes in hard and working hard for your money, and where this guy, he never had a job in his life because he just walks down the street and somehow he wins $10,000. Like that's how lucky he is. Now, and I kind of preferred that version compared to this guy because the new Gladstone is just a straight up jerk. Like when I first saw the teaser clip of him, I'm thinking, okay, so he's like one of those sleazy like hotel owners or casino owners or something, because that's what they were portraying him as. And when I was watching this episode, like the way he progressed throughout the whole thing, like he just became like more and more despicable as it went on. Like not in a totally monstrous way, but yeah, definitely I hated this guy's guts. But it was still funny to watch like how randomly lucky he was even without trying. I guess when I compare them, while I like the old one better, the new guy I think is more fitting to the character, if only because he's actually accurate to the character in the comic. Because in the comic he was just as smug and arrogant, and even worse, the big thing between him and Donald was that Gladstone was always trying to steal Daisy away from him. So yeah, he was always trying to steal away his cousin's girlfriend. So that made him even more despicable. But in terms of this one, like you said, he actually is a little fun to hate. Although, like I said, even though he doesn't really get any sort of, proper comeuppance, at the same time, it's nice to know that by the end, like his family is not blinded by how much of a jackass he is. Because at first the nephews are all, admiring him and the fact that he's successful without even trying, but by the end they quickly see his colors, especially once he pretty much sells them out in order to save himself. Because yeah. It's like, I get he's supposed to be a neutral character, not evil or anything like that, but he's still an ass. And I hate him for having that good luck. I need that good luck. Somebody give me that good luck.
Gladstone is one of those characters that you love to hate, but he exists as kind of like a life lesson because, while he does have all of this luck and whatnot, Scrooge keeps on saying throughout the episode that it's all about making your own luck. It's all about hard work. And the juxtaposition between him and Donald leads to some really hilarious moments. Like, there's a part during the episode where he and Uncle Donald are both trying their hand at, like, the different slot machines and stuff like that. And Gladstone's winning instantly while Donald keeps getting hurt in the process. And, I think this is the really enjoyable part of the episode where we really sympathize with Donald because nothing is going his way. And near the end of the episode, we find out that even though his luck is the worst in the world, like the extreme worst, there is a use for it. And I don't really want to get into that until we get to the reveal of the episode, but the juxtaposition is great. There's some really great banter between the two. And I like what they did with Louie for this episode. This isn't really any one character-centric episode, but it does a lot for Huey, and it does a lot for Louie. And what I like what they did with Louie, like Louie's the one who worships chaos. Louie's the one who's the con man. Louie's the one who is pretty much the most likely to go to jail out of the three nephews. And when you pit him with Gladstone, he's the one who admires him the most because he's just like, he can get anything for nothing. And he learns by the end of the episode that Uncle Donald is actually a better uncle. And I think that's a great character progression. It's a great character arc for the episode for Louie. And while Louie doesn't really change, he starts to see things like you can't really judge things on how they appear. And while he does admire the luck of Gladstone, at the end of the episode, he's really just like, you know what? I prefer Uncle Donald to you.
I won't lie, Donald is actually quickly becoming my favorite character on the show. And I know it's weird considering he's been around for decades, but this newest incarnation of him, I just love him so much. Because not only is he just more sympathetic, but when he freaks out, he freaks the fuck out, and I just love it because he becomes like fucking Superman. It is great.
I love the faces that he makes and his crazy eyes.
Oh yeah, the crazy eyes.
But Eric,
it's like Pop. I was gonna say it's like Popeye. He goes into like Super Donald mode, and it just starts kicking ass. Also, as an aside, you ever notice there's like a color scheme in that episode, like as like how Scrooge, Donald, and Gladstone are like adult versions of Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Because, I mean, Scrooge is mostly wearing red, Donald is mostly wearing blue, while Gladstone's mostly wearing green. And the two characters that are wearing green are the ones that pair up and, start having a relationship together.
You're right. I just realized that.
I noticed that by the end of the episode. I'm like,
When you think about it, too, they have similar traits as well. You know how Huey's all cautious and everything, while Scrooge is kind of the same way, being, a miser and hoarding away his money. And then you have Dewey and Donald, who keep throwing themselves into these insane situations and somehow getting out alive. And then, of course, you have the obvious with Gladstone and Louie being, greedy bastards trying to cruise by, without doing actual work. So I do like that. Mm-hmm. Very clever.
Yes.
There's a very neat parallel between the three, and I really like that. But yeah, so Eric, what do you think about the A-plot of the episode before we get to the reveal? And I think we're going to talk about the B-plot first, but not talking about the reveal. What do you think of the A-plot?
I thought the A-plot was interesting, but to me it kind of felt like it was just like this continuous like running gag with Gladstone about, oh, look how lucky he is, and look how unfortunate Donald is. Like, they just use that as the main running gag of the episode. And that's what I kind of felt like also with Gladstone, was that he was kind of a running gag character, where it's just, look, oh, how lucky he is, and how insanely lucky. Well, they take his luck and they just made it like ridiculously insane with it, like make him ridiculously lucky. Like, you just won a new car. Oh wait, you just won another new car.
Actually, you know what? Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, there's a game that they play. We didn't mention this. There's a game that they play. And it's like, how many fingers am I holding up? And Donald keeps guessing the same number. Keeps guessing 27. It's hilarious. But then Gladstone's like, look, come on, we could stop it, whatever. And then Gladstone accidentally guesses a number. It's like, that's it, you won a new car. And then he says another number, you win another new car.
Another car?
And even he, after a while, gets sick and tired of all the winning. But yeah, that's what I didn't really have a problem with Gladstone. Like, it's just like the right amount of irritation that doesn't like ruin it. Because the way they're using him as kind of a running gag, just kind of, I think it kind of eases in the, our jealousy of him for being so lucky.
Yeah, honestly, the whole segment with them kind of felt like a Warner Brothers cartoon. When they would show Bugs Bunny with Daffy Duck, and Daffy Duck would always try to pull ahead, but his equally bad luck would always get him hurt, or something unfortunate would happen, and Bugs would just cruise on through without even trying. That's what the whole thing felt like.
Yeah, a lot of this felt like an old school cartoon in many portions of it, where we're seeing Donald get hurt a lot, whereas Gladstone isn't, and I think that was kind of the point. It's a very big callback to the past.
Honestly, that was always a thing with Donald, him getting himself into unfortunate situations and getting injured in one way or another, while whoever's with him usually manages to pull ahead without any effort. But that's pretty much what Donald's purpose is, at least once they started pairing him up with, like, Mickey and Goofy and all that. Like, I feel so bad for the guy sometimes.
And yet, one of the best lines in the episode, without revealing too much, was Louie just saying, like, you have the worst luck in the world, but that hasn't stopped you before. Like, you're one of the people who just, no matter how bad things are, you just keep going, no matter how bad the odds are. And I think that sums up Donald really well.
Like, you never had the common sense to give up before. Why start now?
Yeah, really.
So, yeah, we'll wait to talk about the reveal in a little bit, but I think the A-plot does a good job. It has some really good jokes. But I found the B plot to be really the star of the show because it has some of my favorite gags in the show, actually. First of all, the B plot revolves around Uncle Scrooge and the rest of the boys and Webby trying to leave to go on their adventure. For the entire episode, they're just trying to leave the hotel. And, they keep getting distracted by various different things. There's this person, this, blue grasshopper-looking dude who keeps on ushering everyone into different locations. Basically, like at a casino, they want to keep you trapped there to spend more money. And Scrooge is smart. He never once spends any money there, which I'm just like, okay, Scrooge, you're not going to be taken in by cheap tricks. I like that. But the places that they get distracted are where we get some of the best gags. First of all, there's this water show that initially, Huey's just like, oh man, that's a waste of water. But then they bring out this whole entire water show. They call it Aquarium. It's something like that. Waters of Aquarium. Yeah, it's Aquarium. Waters of Aquarium. And Huey gets so entranced by this water show with this person dancing all over the water that he watches it 3 times. He gets so enthralled by it, and he's just like, oh my god, why haven't I seen this before in my life? And I'm like, this should have been Huey's introduction, because Huey's hilarious in this episode.
Yeah, he was. I won't lie though, it did look pretty cool, waterworks combined with the Cirque du Soleil performance. It actually reminds me of the fountain show that they used to show at the Gaylord Hotel whenever we went to MagFest. So, yeah.
I was actually thinking that.
Honestly, I would stick around and watch multiple shows of that too. It's pretty cool.
I think we have at one point.
Yeah. Well, the only thing lacking in the performance that Huey witnessed was the sparkling crystal bacon that hung from the ceiling. That was the only thing missing. Otherwise, it would have been perfect.
And then they do a callback to this gag later, because during one point, Donald destroys something. It's one of the giant spinning wheels of chance, and he spins it, and it just starts rolling away, and you see everything crashing, and all of a sudden the 3:15 performance of Aquarium, Waters of Aquarium, has been canceled, and you can hear Huey in the background screaming, no! I love that so damn much. I'm like, yes. Huey's great in this. This should have been his introduction episode. And then they get distracted by other things, Dewey is given a pet tiger, which adds to more visual gags. And then they distract Webby, who is surprisingly the most reasonable of the boys, with food, with a giant chocolate fountain. And I'm like, okay.
Can I stick my hand in there? Yes. Can I stick your hand in there? Sure.
They do a great job showcasing ways that they can distract them. Especially with the tiger, because the tiger is really cool. But then when Webby leaves a trail of snacks to lead them to a different location in case they get lost, the tiger is eating them, and he's just like, "What? It's a tiger. You tell him not to eat stuff."
Like, I'll name him Dewey Jr., and I'm already emotionally invested in him.
It's funny, but it's also kind of true with the way they portray the kids in this episode. Very easily distracted, very excitable, and attached to certain things. And I think this is a good warning episode, because all the things that they love eventually turn out to be bad for them in the end. And I think that for kids watching this episode, it's a good example of what not to do. So, yeah, I gotta give kudos to this episode. It's very, very funny. It's highly quotable, especially the B-plot, and it has some of the best character moments. Kat, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't really sure where they were going with this. I mean, I had an idea, but just seeing the adventures of them trying to get out of this endless maze and with all the things distracting them was definitely a lot of fun. And I do like all of the things that you wouldn't expect the kids to really be distracted by because they didn't establish anything about it, but it worked nonetheless. And again, just seeing Donald lose consistently, like I feel bad for him, but it's still really funny. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed that part of the episode. Although I do like the later part that we're about to talk about even more.
And Eric, before we reveal the actual twist of the episode, what are your thoughts on the B plot and the episode overall?
This is definitely where a lot of the humor is in this episode, and I do like how it also ties in with, with the cautionary lesson of, being too distracted or attached to to all these different bright and shiny things, because like they're doing everything they can to try to stay in the casino, just like in real life, coming from someone who's been to a couple of casinos in their lifetime. So I kind of like how it kind of ties in with that real world element to it. So that's something that, that even adults can relate to. So, and yeah, I do like I do like the jokes, with Huey and Louie, how they're distracted by the waters and the tigers and the food. And the funny thing about the chocolate fountain, I'm looking at this, I'm like, my college had a chocolate fountain.
Did you stick your hand in it?
No, I didn't, but I should have. Wouldn't be surprising if people did, but I did. But I do like that this is where a lot of the jokes came from for the episode, and how they're trying to distract, how Scrooge is going around. It's like, wait a minute, we've been around here before. We like they went around in circles a bunch of times. Like, wait a minute, wasn't the "You Are Here" star over there? And it's like, wait, what's going on? And then they finally find the exit, but as they find the exit, that's when Gladstone says, "This is what I really brought you here for." And then all of a sudden you see this chain all of a sudden just appear, this magic chain, this magic ball and chain literally just appear. And he says, "I'm a prisoner here, and I needed you to help me to get out."
And at first I'm like, but wait a second, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you try to get help?
Yeah.
And they asked that, and they said because he would find out. And it turns out that the guy who's been distracting them the whole time is a luck vampire, a spirit of fortune. Now, I will defend this episode on one major thing. It drops some very subtle hints that this is actually what's happening. And if you're not paying attention, you probably won't get it. But I watched this episode a second time, and when they first walk in and he's talking to the panda, and the moment he says, "I need your help," the panda looks at him. He gives him a look, and he immediately changes his tone to "spend all my money." And now if you're just watching this episode without knowing what the twist is all about, then you're thinking, oh, Gladstone's just a dick. But he's been trying to tell them the entire time. It's just he's being watched by everyone here, and I love that. There's really subtle hints. He's been basically trying to use Donald's bad luck to get rid of his streak of good luck so that the luck vampire will let him go. But yeah, there's some really subtle hints, and if you do pay attention, it's really well handled.
I will admit I did not see that coming. I mean, I thought it was going to be something mob related since they mentioned it with Launchpad at the beginning. So I thought, oh, maybe he got in trouble with the mafia, or he won a round of like poker or something, and the guy got pissed off, so he forcibly took over the casino or something. I thought it'd be something of that nature, but then to find out that it was actually a mystical thing going on, I'm like, ooh, nice twist. That being said, however, there is still a question about Gladstone, telling his family what's really going on. Because he says that, oh, I couldn't tell you because I'm being watched by the demon all the time. well, if that's the case, how the hell did you get them here in the first place? Like, you would think that given the demon's trying to keep him there, he wouldn't allow him to have any outside contact with anyone, lest there was a chance he would call for help. And not only that, but his luck could have allowed him to subtly give one of them the message, hey, I'm a prisoner, there's a demon guy around here, we need to find a way out. Help me. But no, he doesn't ever attempt that. Like, he just tries to, again, goes the lazy man route and be like, oh, I'm sure just being around Donald will break my lucky streak, even though we grew up together and that's never happened.
Yeah, his logic is not very sound, and I do get your point there. I will say there is a reason, there is a way he could have gotten a message to the outside world, because the luck vampire wants Scrooge's luck. So he might have made an offer to the luck vampire to get Scrooge over here in the first place, but that also paints him as a kind of villain as well.
Well, yeah, once they reveal that, pretty much any sense of Gladstone being somewhat of a decent guy goes out the window, because he basically offered his family up as a sacrifice. Like, that is messed up. Like, really messed up.
It's funny. I was kind of agreeing with what you were saying, Zen, about how he could have just made a deal with the luck vampire and trying to get Scrooge to come over, or he probably just wrote the letter and through his own luck was able to get it out to him. But there is also, even with all that being said, when they get to, because what happens later in the episode, the luck vampire makes an offer with Scrooge. Basically, they decide, let's let you go through this maze or whatever, through this maze. If you can get to the exit, you win. You win and I'll let you go. But if you lose, then you have to stay. But then the twist is that they have their own champion, and Scrooge ends up with Donald, and the luck vampire chooses Gladstone as their champions. And so if one of their champions is, gets to the exit, then they win. But this is where I kind of have a problem, is that we know that Gladstone has insane amount of luck and would more likely win. And Gladstone knows he's trying to escape. So how come he doesn't go out of the way to try to lose to let Donald win? Why doesn't he do that? That's the one thing I don't understand. I'm just like, they're letting these two go. Okay, so why doesn't Gladstone just lose on purpose? So that way Donald could win, and that way they get out.
That's what I was wondering too. And then at one point, I think Gladstone said, "Yeah, I'm sorry to do this to you, but between that and being a slave for life, I gotta take my chances." And that's again solidifies just how much of a bastard he is. Again, he put his family up to the slaughter, and then when they have a chance to go free, he pretty much just takes it away from them, being like, oh, well, I mean, if it's between you guys and saving my own skin, well, number one always comes out first. That's basically what happens here. I mean, I guess there's a chance maybe that he figured, oh, well, his good luck will find a way to get all of them free. But I highly doubt he has that much foresight.
Yeah, I mean, this does paint him as even more of a dick. But I have to say the race itself is a lot of fun, because you have Donald, who immediately, from the moment things start, he goes off and he sets out and he actually tries with everything he has to get to the finish line for everyone. Even though he has bad luck, he keeps on trying. And then there's Gladstone, who's just strolling down, and all these lucky things occur. And I think this end of the episode bit here really, really works. It's inventive. Everything is all cards, so the platforms are cards. And then you see a lot of the obstacles, there's water that goes overhead and turns into lava. And they reference the waters of aquarium again, and it's funny. And then there's a slot machine at the end. Well, not a slot machine, a pachinko machine, I should say, at the end. And there's some really good visual design here with the labyrinth and how they do things. And this is the moment where, like, Donald's about to give up because he's cornered by Dewey's tiger, and he's all beaten up. He's like been set on fire and all of this other stuff, and he's, Gladstone's about to win, and he's just like, what's the point? And Louie's just like, you know what? You never had the common sense to give up. Now, why give up? And so he goes super Donald. He basically gets so mad that he attacks the tiger, defeats it, and then he climbs up the pachinko machine. And as he is crossing the finish line, Gladstone's luck bites him in the ass, where he finds $20 just randomly in the maze.
Where did that come from?
Which is great, and Donald actually wins. And then there's another twist where the luck vampire actually is tricked into taking Donald instead of Gladstone. But Donald's luck is so bad that it weakens the luck vampire, and he's like, it's so awful. Scrooge
little thing starved to death.
Scrooge is like counting down. It's like 3, 2, 1. Like, gets kicked out of the house in 3 seconds. It's so awful.
To be fair, that was a really clever deal that Scrooge did.
Yes.
I'm like, God damn, I knew Donald's luck was bad, but I didn't think it was enough to, like, kill a demon. Like, holy shit.
That's pretty much the episode. They defeat the luck vampire, and they actually go to see the golden cricket. And when they actually see it, it's not very interesting. It's just a cricket playing music. And Scrooge is just like, well, I'm done now.
Well, this sucks.
Well, that trip brought me about a day and a half closer to death.
So I'll go last, but Eric, what do you think overall of this episode?
This was definitely a much more entertaining episode than last week's, than the Terror of the Terra Firmians. Not saying that was a bad episode, it just wasn't really as good as the other ones we've seen. This one kind of brings it back to it because the last couple of weeks we've had, the Duckburg adventure episodes, because I remember the writers said they were trying to balance the ratio between Duckburg and adventure episodes, and we needed an adventure episode for a while. So, and this was it. Like, it almost, like, at first it didn't feel like it, because they're like, oh, they're just trapped in a casino all episode, and that was until they get to the third act, where it's like, oh, this is the adventure, because this is with the luck vampire, and, making the deal. I'm like, all right, this is what I'm talking about. This is the adventure that we've been waiting for. And they do a pretty good job with this. So, I think we have, like, at least 2 or 3 more adventure episodes coming up, because I think the next few that are being released are going to be adventure episodes. At least I hope they are. So I'm excited to see where this is going to go, as far as, like, what kind of adventures they're going to go on. I mean, yeah, they are, many of them are filler episodes, but I don't care too much I don't mind filler episodes as long as they're entertaining. Because not every single episode has to be a big plot reveal, and not every single episode has to be filler. There's always a balance. So I like that we're now getting back into some of the adventure episodes again, because we've had quite a bit of the Duckburg stuff already.
All right, and Kat, what do you think?
I pretty much agree with everything Eric said. They said that everything else going on was absolutely enjoyable. I love watching them getting lost in the casino. I loved seeing all, like, the things that were tempting them. I love seeing Donald hurt himself. I love the race at the end between him and Gladstone, and Donald showing what a fucking badass he is. Like, it was all enjoyable. The only thing that, kind of dips it down for me a bit is Gladstone. And like I said, I hate him, but at the same time, he still feels appropriate. Because that was the thing in the original DuckTales. Like I said, he should be more of this arrogant jackass, but he's made more sympathetic. In fact, in the episode that introduced his character, he actually gets a spell cast on him by Magica, and she uses him to steal Scrooge's dime. And when he finds out what happens afterward, he actually feels bad about it and actually goes through the effort to help Scrooge get his dime back, as well as his luck, because apparently if he does something bad with his luck, he loses it. I don't know where the hell that came from, but yeah, there he is. But the point is, at least he had somewhat of a character arc in that. With this one, he didn't learn a goddamn thing. And the fact that he just, was willing to just throw away his family, like for the sake of saving his own skin, that just that did not resonate with me well. And I'm assuming this is again a one-off thing. If he does show up again, it's probably just like a short, brief cameo or something. But yeah, that was the only weak part to me. I will say this though, one thing I was kind of like surprised about. Not that I was expecting it, but it kind of crossed my mind at some point. When he was talking about how he and Donald grew up together and they showed them as kids and growing up and everything, where was Della? Because I'm wondering why he doesn't mention her. Because you think if he grew up with Donald, he grew up with her as well. Unless Scrooge also forbid him from talking about her. It's not a big deal. It's just, something that, just came to mind that I wondered about.
That is a very interesting query. We aren't really given a lot of information about Della on purpose. So, that is a good point. Overall, initially watching this episode, I thought there were problems, mostly because I thought it was going to be a major adventure episode, and it is. It's just they do this end reveal, and I think it only works if you've seen the episode once before and give it a second watch, because there's a lot of stuff that you'll miss. And I enjoyed it a lot more upon second viewing. I think there's some really great gags here. I love a lot of the stuff that they do with the characters. The A plot is funny, but I prefer the B plot because these kids are just so much fun. And like, I think the reveal itself is really, really well handled. I think it's a great twist that you don't see coming. But it does have the added problem of, because you don't see it coming, you might start to write this episode off before it actually gets underway. So it is a really good episode. I want to say this is a return to form because this is a lot better than Terra of the Terrafermians. It's not currently my favorite episode, but it is a return to form, and I really like what they're doing with the show. It's just, I really wish I could watch this in order because, this takes place right after the plot, the reveal about Magica, and this is actually a nice seg from there. Like, if this was actually aired in the proper order, then this would give us a nice little breather, but then it has that end twist, like in Beagle Birthday Massacre, and I think that's what, That's the structure that we needed after the Beagle Birthday Massacre. Terra of the Terrafermians has none of that. So, I like the episode. I really wish they aired this in the proper order.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not like the worst thing. At least we're not suddenly introduced to characters that we don't know and then find out their origin later. Like, as I've seen shows that have done that. But, I mean, it would be nice just to see how the flow of the season was supposed to go. I have a feeling that it would probably make a little more sense, or at least, give us a breather after certain episodes instead of, we're going to do all story for the first 4 episodes and we're going to do all filler for the next 4 episodes. Because you need a breather. You need to absorb stuff, and you just need a mindless, fun adventure.
Yeah, we definitely need to, do a recap of the entire season, but, we binge watch it, the entire season in the proper order just to see how it's supposed to go. After we go through everything.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, I'd definitely be down for that.
Mm-hmm. I am down for that as well. So, we only have 3 more episodes left in this season, or mid-season. They haven't really clarified. I'm pretty sure this is just a mid-season break or something like that. But only 3 episodes left. We're going to get these 3 episodes out, recorded, and edited. And then once that's done, we're going to do a run-through of things in the proper order. And then we'll give our final thoughts on this particular batch of episodes. With that being said, I think this has been a very fun week for the show. Last week, we were a little bit critical of certain things, and we were of things in this episode, but I think this is a step back to what we really wanted for the show. With that said, I am Zenith Rule.
I'm Kat Macberrie.
I'm Eric Y2 Staller.
And when we return, we'll have some more episodes of DuckTales. And we hope to see you all there. We've been hearing some really great comments from fans in the last couple of episodes, from people who really like the podcast. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening to our thoughts on this series. I'm really glad you like it. If you like this show, please check out The Disney Debate, which is the other podcast that we run. We're talking about Disney movies and other stuff like that. We're planning to do more Disney shows in the future. However, doing 2 episodes a week is a little bit tiring for us, especially because we have to get everything done and out, and we want to make sure that you guys have things that are of a good quality. So when the next batch of episodes comes out, we're probably going to focus more on DuckTales rather than the Disney Debate. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.
And just remember, Aquarium, Waters of Aquarium, will be with you always.
Hey, this is Megami33. Thank you for watching Zenith Will Review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome videos. If you like what you see, check out the Patreon page at patreon.com/Zenith Will Review.
Alright, I am recording on my end. Is everyone else recording?
Yep.
I'm recording.
Okay, good. So, here's the plan for today. We're going to, instead of recording, we're going to find some Polish women, and we're going to have them do the episode for us.
Where were you last week? I was surrounded by Polish women. I went to this wedding, and it was also lovely. It was also beautiful, but there was so much food. The reception went for 3 hours, and that was dinner number 1. Then I heard something about dinner number 2, and I'm like, what? True story.
Sounds like my kind of place. Okay, we're warmed up, we're ready to go. Good. Okay. And I'm going to start us off in 3. Oh, wait, we need to sync first.
Yes.
Let's do
That
that.
That would help.
Let's actually do things in the proper order. Yeah.
Unlike DuckTales.
Hi-oh.
We're pulling a DuckTales. The Disney Debate is now going to be aired out of order. We're going to do everything completely random. You won't know what's going to happen next.
Oh dear God. Have fun with that.